So I was asked to mention one other person's birthday. Julius asked me to remind us of Linda's birthday and help us to remember Julius and Roy as they're remembering her birthday. So we've been going through this series of difficult words, difficult terms, and we've got a few good ones today. We're dealing with the doctrine of predestination and election, and along with that we have to throw in this word remnant. And the reason we need to throw in the word remnant is because the elect, those who will be chosen, those who will choose God, are going to be a small part of the rest of the world. They're going to be a remnant of the rest of the world. And we see throughout the history of the Israelites, God says, I'm going to spare the Israelites. I'm going to take care of the Israelites. But usually, what he takes care of is a remnant of the Israelites. So he talks about the whole, but their whole were saved through a small portion that were kept safe and protected. And that's going to be the same with the church. The church is going to be, unfortunately, a much smaller group out of all the world than we'd like it to be. Now, we can make as many as possible be in that group if we're active and going out and seeking the lost. We can help make that group bigger, but in the end, it's going to be a smaller portion than those not being saved. So I want to kind of keep that idea of the remnant in mind as we're doing this. And a few good passages to go with the remnant. In Micah chapter 2, verse 12, I will surely assemble all of you, O Jacob. I will gather the remnant of Israel. I will set them together like sheep in a fold, like a flock in its pasture, a noisy multitude of men. So he starts off that he's going to take care of the whole assembly of Jacob. And then he continues to say, I will gather a remnant of Israel. Now, when he's talking about Jacob, he's talking about the Israel, he's talking about the same thing. So when he's saying, I will surely assemble all of it, Jacob, he's really talking about that remnant. In Romans chapter 9, verse 27, and Isaiah cries out concerning Israel, though the number of the sons of Israel may be as the sand of the sea, only a remnant of them will be saved. So again, God set this people, this nation of Israel, to be his people. But in the end, when it comes to final salvation, only a remnant of them will be saved. Just as with the Gentiles, only a remnant of the Gentiles. The rest of the world, besides the Jews, only a remnant of them will be saved. So our major term here, this idea of predestination. You know, we've got a lot of different ideas about what predestination might mean. I got to thinking, there's a lot of movies that really try and deal with this idea of predestination in one way or another. And I couldn't help but come to one movie in particular, The Matrix. And I don't know how many of you have seen that movie. But there's one scene in particular, somewhere about 23 minutes in or so, it lasts about 10 minutes. And in this scene, you've got Keanu Reeves playing Neo and Lawrence Fishburne playing Morpheus. And they're basically sitting in a room by themselves talking. And the idea is, in this world, this movie world, the human race has been put into slavery by machines. You know, one of those fears that we have nowadays, and have had for a couple decades now, is these machines we've created, we're going to create them to be so intelligent they overthrow us. And we've got a lot of movies that kind of cover that idea. Well, this one did it in a very different way. They put people into these pods and they learned to harness our life energy to be like batteries to help them thrive. But in order to do that, they had to have these bodies continue to exist. They had to create basically a dream state for all these people to interact in the same dream state and accept it and be willing to accept it and live in that state. Now, you learn in the second or third movie that it took a few tries before they created a system where the world was acceptable to people. The first time they tried it, they made a perfect world, and everyone rejected it. No one could accept that was reality. And so after a few tries, they found out they had to do a couple of things. They had to give an illusion of free will. They had to allow there to be bad things to happen for people to accept it. They also had to create a way to let people out who for whatever reason, still refused to accept that world was reality. And so you've got this group, which Morpheus is part of this group. His team is part of this group that's been pulled out of the Matrix and know the truth about the real world. That know the truth about the Matrix, this dream world that everyone else has been put into. And Morpheus is now talking to Neo, who's supposed to be the main character of this trilogy. And he's trying to bring him out of the Matrix so he can show him the truth about the world. And he's got several different good pieces of dialogue within this. One of these interactions, Morpheus starts off and he asks Neo, "Do you believe in fate, Neo?" "No." "Why not?" "Because I don't like the idea that I'm not in control of my life." Now, some people say that about God. They don't want God to be there. They don't want God to be in control, because then they're not in control of their life. And some people, there are Christians. That's kind of where this comes from, is this idea of fate. You're predestined to a certain ending. And so you've got people like John Calvin who created this idea that those who are elected by God to be saved will be saved no matter what. Whether they actually come to the church or not, whether or not they believe in God or not. If God elected them, they will be saved. And we have no way of altering that no matter what we do. That's a very strong-handed idea of predestination there, and what we're fated to. And in this world, every single living being there is fated to be a battery for these machines. Whatever they do inside this dream world, whatever kind of life they live, it doesn't matter. The reality is, the truth is, they're in this sustaining pod as a battery for these machines. That's the truth. Now, there is an ability to escape that, and that's part of what this discussion is leading to. Morpheus is going to offer Neo a choice, just like God has offered us a choice. So the choice, Morpheus pulls out these two pills. One's blue, one's red. If he takes the blue pill, he remains in the Matrix. He'll wake up the next day basically forgetting what had happened and go on about his daily life. If he takes the red pill, he will be forced out of the Matrix by the machines themselves and put into the real world. Have to face reality and the truth of what life really is for people in that day and age. And you got in this movie another character who, he's been out of the Matrix for a long time now, but he'd rather be back in the Matrix, having that ideal life, because that life is still easier, more enjoyable than the life he lives in the real world. Because in that world, it's hard. It's not what you would imagine what they would want reality to be. It's tough life. You know, in the Matrix, you get to eat steak with mashed potatoes. You get to have all these great meals. And And there's a scene with Cypher, this character, where he's eating a meal with two of these agents from the Matrix. And that's one of the things he comments on. You know, in my mind, because I know the truth, I know the steak's not real. But the Matrix feeds to me every time I take a bite of the steak how juicy it is, how tender it is. I'd rather be in this world. One of the biggest truths that I've realized is ignorance is bliss. Not knowing the truth about the real world, about what's really going on, would have been better. He regrets having taken that pill and being kicked out of the Matrix and knowing the truth. So he's trying to get himself back in. And as a process, he tries to help capture Neo to accomplish that. If he helps capture Neo, they'll put him back in the Matrix. So they tell him, but they're lying to him too. And then we've got another world kind of in between the first dialogue and the second one, and him actually offering the pills. Morpheus comes to him, he says, I know why you're here. You're a prisoner, or you're here because you know something. What you know, you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there is something wrong with this world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Yeah, now that sounds a lot like something Jesus would say. You know, you've realized there's something wrong with the way you've been living this life in this world. There's something not right about the way people are in this world. Even the other people in this world who enjoy being in this world, living in the world the way it is, they're not always satisfied with it. So you get songs like, where is the love? People are so full of hate and envy, and they're intolerant. And that people want to change that. They don't realize the only way to change that is through God. We don't have that power to change that. That's some world, that's the world that's been pulled over our eyes for us to live in, so that we won't see the truth. So we deny the truth is there, that there is something else out there. So Morpheus says this, and then he goes on and says, because he'd asked Matrix, he asked Neo, do you know what it is that's been pulled over your eyes? And he talks about the Matrix. He says, well, you know, you can't really know what the Matrix is without being shown. But basically, it is the world pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. That you are a slave. That like everyone else, you were born into bondage, into a prison that you cannot taste, or smell, or touch. A prison for your mind. That's what Satan wants. He wants to build this prison for our minds. That we think we're acting with sense, but we're only acting by response to our senses. We're tricked into believing we know the truth, that there is no truth. But God says there is a truth. And I created a plan. I predestined a plan to where I can show you that truth. That's what God predestined. He predestined that there would be a way for us to see the truth. He didn't predestine, I'm going to make it to heaven, Joyce is not going to make it to heaven, Roy's not. He didn't do that. That's not what God did. God said, I'm going to predestine it so you have a choice. You can accept to know the truth, or you can accept to deny the truth and continue living as you have been. Just like what Morpheus is doing here with Neo. You got a choice. You can choose to take the one pill, stay here and continue to live in this world. Or you can take the other and learn the truth. You go and you look at Moses and Joshua. Both of them give very similar speeches. I come to you today, and I lay before you a choice. You can choose to follow God, obey His commandments, or you can choose to live like the rest of the world, to disobey God to think it's okay to live like everyone else. And Israel, in both cases, they said, we're going to follow God. But a lot of them tended to be more like Cypher. Yeah, they started off choosing the right thing, but they kind of wish they could have gone back. So Israel decides, we want a king, just like the rest of the world. We want to worship the other gods, just like the rest of the world. Even though they knew the truth about who God was, that he was the one and only God. For whatever reason, they got in their head it was still okay to worship other gods. They got in their head they could be like the rest of the world, even though they knew there was a better life out there. And even if it doesn't always seem better, the truth is always better than the lie. And in the end, there will be a better life. And by the end of the trilogy, even though the character Neo was meant to help the machines bring everyone back into the Matrix and end things and reboot a small remnant of outsiders doing the same thing, he ends up freeing everybody from the Matrix, overrunning the machines. Even though he had been fated, and apparently his character had gone through this process multiple times where he had actually done what the machines had wanted. This time, he didn't. He chose to go a very different route. Because of his love for one person he had fallen in love with in particular, he chose not to do it the machine's way this time. Instead, he was going to save all of humanity because of his love for somebody. Doesn't that sound a lot like what God's done through Christ? Sounds a lot like what God's done through Christ. And those of us who are elect, those of us who are going to come to know God, we fall into election. We fall into what God has predestined, not because God chose it for us specifically to be saved, but because God said, look, I'm showing you the truth. Now choose whether or not you're going to accept it. And those who become the elect of God, the people of God, are those who choose to know the truth, who choose to obey God, follow his commands. So the idea that predestination, as other people want to look at it, there's a lot of problems with it. People want to say, well, if that's what God does, is that fair? Well, if God predestined us individually for salvation or condemnation, no, that wouldn't be fair. Does it make us robots? No. We still have choice within this life, but we're slaves. Slaves weren't robots. They could choose to do things, but when they were told, if you don't do this, there's consequences, they didn't have much choice but to do what they were told or else face severe consequences. And that's still somewhat what God does. God says, I've shown you the truth. If you don't obey it, there will be consequences. You'll remain slaves to unrighteousness. And in the end, when the second coming comes and when judgment comes, you'll have to face eternal punishment. So you can choose to live that dream life, the life where you think you're in control. Or you can know the truth. And our truth is better than the movie's truth, because that life was pretty horrible outside of the Matrix. But the truth of God is so much greater. He has so many blessings to offer those who choose him. I want to look at a few verses here, and we'll make some comments on them. The first one is Ephesians chapter 1. Verses 4 and 5 in chapter 1. For he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, to be holy and blameless in his sight. In love, he predestined us to be adopted through Jesus Christ for himself, according to his favor and will, to the praise of his glory, to his glorious grace, that he favored us in the beloved. Now again, that can sound like, because it says, he chose us. From before we were born, from before the foundations of the earth, he chose us to be blameless and holy in his sight. And he did predestine man to be that. That's what Adam and Eve were supposed to be. They were created to be blameless and holy in his sight. And when they failed, when God knew they would fail, though, he had a plan to choose his creation, mankind, to be redeemed, to be restored. Verse 7 says there, we have redemption in him through his blood, the forgiveness of our trespasses according to the riches of his grace, that he lavished on us with all wisdom and understanding. So he predestined redemption. That's what he predestined. He predestined the plan of redemption. That those who would choose to follow him would then be restored to holiness and blamelessness and be able to walk blameless in the sight of the Lord. He predestined this plan of adoption so that we could be adopted into his family as his children. Those are the things he's predestined. Romans. And Romans is huge on this idea of predestination and election. If we wanted, we could sit here and read all the way from chapter 8 through chapter 11. I'm not going to do that. But we could read all of that. And almost everything there applies to this idea of predestination and election. If you turn with me to Romans 8, verse 31 through 33. What then are we to say about these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? He did not even spare his own Son, but offered him up for us all. How will he not also with him grant us everything? Who can bring an accusation against God's elect? God is the one who justifies. So here again, you've got this idea. God didn't even spare his Son. He offered his Son for everyone. Remember that remnant phrase we started with at the beginning? God offered his Son for everyone. Now, not everyone, though, is going to accept the gift of his Son. Not everyone is going to accept the gift of God's grace. Only a remnant will see and accept the truth. Only a remnant will be saved through that offering. But the offering was made for everyone, so that everyone does have that chance. The reason God is so slow, as we read earlier this morning, in bringing the second coming about, is because he wants none to be lost. If God had his way, everyone would be saved. But he predestined us to make choices. He did give us. From the very beginning, he gave us choices. Adam and Eve had a choice whether or not to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. When they made the choice to eat from that tree when they weren't supposed to, they had to face consequences for it. We had to face consequences for it. But they had a choice, and we had a choice. That choice, the consequences may be complicated, but the choice itself is pretty easy. Do you want to know the truth, or do you want to continue living a lie? This book, it holds the truth. It tells us the reality of the world. It tells us we've got a person who's a deceiver in charge of the world right now. But God is there. He's made a plan. He's undercut everything Satan's trying to do. And he will free us from slavery. He will free us from that slavery of unrighteousness and make us his heirs. his children. If you'll jump with me over to chapter 9 of Romans. This is one thing that becomes a concern in verse 6. But it is not as though the word of God has failed. For not all who are descended from Israel are Israel. Neither are they all children because they are Abraham's descendants. On the contrary, your offspring will be traced through Isaac. That is, it is not the children by physical descent who are God's children, but the children of the promise are considered to be the offspring. So God has given his word. He said, I'm going to take care of Israel. I'm going to make them my people. And they were his people. In a lot of ways, they still are his people. Those who, through acceptance in Christ, have chosen to continue to walk in God's new covenant. Those who are trying to still hold on to that old covenant, they're actually no longer Israel. They're descendants of Abraham, but they're no longer Israel. They're no longer God's people. God's people are those who come to Christ, who accept Christ as the Son of God, who go through the waters of baptism and commit themselves to this new covenant from which Christ's blood sealed. Those are the people who are elected to be part of God's people. Where are you today? Have you made the choice yourself to become part of God's people? You got that same choice Neo had. You want to continue to live the way the world lives. Or you want to be like Cypher and go back to the way you used to live. Remember, Paul goes and reminds us continually, you were once like these people, but you're not anymore. If we accepted the red pill, as the movie illustrates it, to come out and know the truth, we should not want to go back to the lie, to the deception. We should not be willing to give up our calling as children of God. We know not only the truth of what it means to obey, but the truth of what it means to go back to another world. We know that it leads to eternal punishment. Why would we want to go back to that? If you have been saved, but you're struggling to obey, and you need encouragement, you need strength, you can come forward at this time, and we'll pray for you and offer up your name to God so that he will strengthen you, and we'll do our best to encourage and strengthen you. But if you have not accepted to know the truth, to make Christ your Lord and Savior, you also have that choice to make today as we come and stand and sing.